Good evening. I have been continuing to work on this after deck, and the carpentry on it proves to be a bit challenging, and so I feel like I've already done some video about this, but my whole point in doing these videos has been to try to provide as much detail as I can, simply because I have found a stunning lack of information available especially with regard to the Haven. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes and just update on where we've come and talk about these after deck beams for a second. I had to put on a piece back here on the transom, and what I ended up doing is I had a piece that I had cut previously that was a mistake, and so it wasn't long enough to fit in any of these other four sections. So I went ahead and I was able to use it, and I've decided I'm going to try to cut out and leave this part of the stern knee because, well, I like it for one thing. Plus I've got a screw right here, and if I take this off here, I'm going to have to pull that screw and cut this off. I think that I can fashion the deck around it, and it's not going to be in the way of where the tiller comes through, so I believe I'm going to try to leave it. Okay, so the important point about this back part on here is that this was already curved in this same curve as these other deck beams, which is about 1 inch over 5 feet. So in other words, the angle of the curve, it comes up about 1 inch over a 5-foot run. The ones in the front were 1.5 inches, so slightly more deck curve up on the front than back. I did beef up this deck beam and this one just because I wanted the additional strength back here. So anyway, so this part back here was one that was a screw up, and so I found a way to use it. Now, part of what I had to do is I had to get the bevel angle on here. Quite honestly, it's about 45 degrees. And the only way that I could cut this off to get this to be a flat plane so that the deck would lay flat against that was to run it through the bandsaw with the bandsaw deck adjusted down to 45 degrees. And then I just kind of had to feed it through there by hand and try to keep the after edge of it as to where the blade would go. So I really just kind of had to feel my way through it, and I might have got a little bit lucky, but got it to come out pretty good. The other thing I did is then I put the ruler on here with these beams in, and I came just back here and I made a pencil line just underneath the ruler so that I'd know where this went. And the way this is curved, it fit in there good. I had a mistake pencil mark about here when I went to put it in here, and my grandson was helping me. He goes, "Hey, that's not even." And he was back in the boat here so he could see what was going on. And so we did adjust this one and bring it up just a little bit, but it's all good. Now, what I've been doing then is taking the ruler and just making sure that it lays fairly flat against all these frames at all areas on here, and I'm pretty happy with it. I was having a problem with this second one here. It wasn't quite tall enough, and I actually took just a couple of little shims and put them in here on this rail and lifted it up. Now, part of what that did is that it made my distance to the inside of the boat, it made this overall slightly shorter because it came up. I'm still going to have room to add an angle, put screws in there that'll hold it, and then I've put 2 screws in this one, and I'll put at least 2 screws in this one on each side. So I don't think we're going to have any issue with strength as far as this being a support for this aft deck. Now, something else that I'm thinking, we put some cedar floor down in the bilge here, and I'm have an idea about putting a marine battery in here in case I want to run a little trolling motor over the side. And the way I was going with this beam, I just sawed this out in here just a few minutes ago because I was afraid that my distance in here from here to here wasn't going to be big enough to fit a battery in there. And I think I need about 9 inches, and I've got about 10.5 now. So I feel fairly certain that we should be able to get that in there. I may have some trim on here that may increase the size of this just a little bit to where it'd be a tight fit, but I think it's going to work. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at tonight. We did get the stern post fitted, so those had to be drilled. One had to be drilled at a very severe angle coming back, and one that was more straight down. My grandson helped me with that, and we got those drilled, and the stern post fit in there quite neatly. So that puts me at a point where now I'm ready to start doing some of this decking and even the flooring down in the center of the cockpit, because all the keel bolts, all the deadwood bolts, and the stern post bolts, all the bolts for the underneath are now done. And something that I want to point out is that I was hesitant to start doing the floors or the decks or any of it until I had all the bolts in. And I'm glad I waited, because especially with this one that was going in here at a 45-degree angle, this would have all been in the way. And I had a hard enough time doing it with nothing in the way. So, like in Maynard Bray's book, I'm out of order with how he suggests doing it. He would have done the after deck and even the floors in the cockpit area, and just seemed like a lot to work around. So I'm pretty much done with the bottom, and now I can focus on the interior, and I don't think that's caused any kind of problem as far as the process is concerned. Just made it easier. So I'm fairly well glad that I thought of that and did it that way. One note here, I got my Enchanted hat. This is the name of the boat, Enchanted, because the oak tree that we pulled out of the forest here on the farm for a lot of the flooring and the major timbers in the boat comes from the Enchanted Forest. My wife kindly dubbed that timber area some years ago, and we were at the Wooden Boat Show in Mystic, and there was a guy that was doing embroidery, and he made me this hat right while I stood there. So anyway, I guess that's all for tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll do some more video when we have more progress. See ya.